Where's my cat? Well, by way of the topic this week, and I'm really interested to hear what it's going to be because I have no idea largely when I start talking, but I know that it will come to me. When it comes to this kind of thing, I like improv, I guess, to some degree. But in the wonderful movie Back to the Future, you remember that, Marty McFly and the flux capacitor and the DeLorean and traveling back and forth through time. We're actually living ahead of the date that he traveled forward to in the movie in 1985. But anyway, Marty McFly, of course, was our hero. And when he went back to the past, he landed in the family that had Leah Thompson. You remember her, that was his love interest. But it ended up kind of being his mom, too. So it was kind of twisted and Oedipus complex stuff. But anyway, Marty McFly, trust me, I think this is going somewhere. If it doesn't, it'll be a hell of a fun little 6-minute ride. But Marty McFly realizes he has to convince Leah Thompson, his mother, to be attracted to his father. Oh, this is a weird movie when you think about it. George McFly. So George McFly, he keeps being counseled by Marty McFly to flirt with and invite Leah Thompson to the prom. And finally he walks up to her and he says, he's written some pre-programmed poetry and he says, "You are my density." He has a little attack of dyslexia and he pronounces destiny as density, but still everything works out, and thank God, because otherwise that movie turns into a twisted Greek tragedy of really corrupt proportions. But the topic this week is, and I guess I better get to the point, the topic is, are you living and achieving your destiny, or are you living your density? Now, I've lived both, I think. For a good long while, I was living my density. I was pretty dense and contracting and compacting into a smaller and smaller ball of matter, I guess you might say. Everything was the matter when I was living everything was the matter when I was living my density. But now I'm much more into the energy, the love, and the light of my destiny. But here's what I'm going to say this week, and you're free to disagree if you want. Always, never here to coerce, convince, or cajole. But I think that we're all born with a destiny. I now have to be very careful with that word. But we were created by a loving higher power. I truly believe that. I think that's absolutely true. And each and every one of us has a unique, original, one-of-a-kind destiny. And the great adventure of any one lifetime is, to what degree do we live? Do we expand? Do we evolve? Do we achieve to some degree? Because it's always ongoing. We're never done. But to what degree we live that destiny. Now, I also think we have to live our density in order to live our destiny. That's why I brought up that movie, because part of life is making big, hairy, hideous, awful mistakes. And there seems to be no really high quality life that doesn't include those. We go down the wrong path. We marry the wrong person. We go down roads and paths we are convinced are our destiny. And then we try to tell God, God, this is my destiny. I'm so glad that you agree, God. And God just kind of watches like, oh, crap, I have to watch this. And we kids go down various roads and plans and schemes and designs, and we make big, hairy mistakes. And yet our destiny is assured. We cannot escape our destiny. We are going to achieve it. We are accomplishing it. But this week the topic is, do you believe that you have a destiny? I think it's a powerful affirmation to say, God is my father, I am his child, and I'm living, and I have a God-given destiny exclusively for me that's original, unique, and creative. And as I find it, I make the world a better place and I help other people to find their destiny. But occasionally I do live my density. So are you living your destiny? Do you believe that you have one? And are you making satisfying progress? And how shall we know when we're living our destiny? Big topic this week, but we begin with, do you believe that you have a destiny? Or are you just a random little bit of DNA, detritus floating through the universe for a couple of years, banging into causes, situations, and circumstances, desperately trying to survive for a few years, and then you croak and that's it, and then we're washed away in the sands of oblique, meaningless time. Big topic. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow.